The Lyrians ascended the highest section of the Mahakam range. Snow crunched under their boots, cold air stung their lungs, and the wind snapped at their cloaks. Meve wiped sweat from her brow and turned to Reynard.
There! By the rocks! We shall...
The rest of her words were drowned out by a powerful blast. The entire mountain rumbled with a low, vibrating roar. The sound grew louder, echoing off the rocks, splitting their ears. The Lyrians looked around, disoriented. Few heard Gabor's warning.
Dinna just stand there! Get behind a rock! Quick! Hurry!
Meve followed the dwarf's gaze and cried out in terror. The snow stuck to the mountainside had started to slide down the slope, sending up mists of icy dust. Before she could react, the white torrent knocked her to her knees, crushing her and smothering her into the ground. All she felt after that was all-encompassing cold and fear. Meve survived. The dwarves who ran to the Lyrians' rescue dug her out of the snow in time. Some of her soldiers were not so lucky. The Queen looked at their bodies, blue, frozen. Next to them lay dead horses, demolished wagons. The losses were enormous. Meve wiped her cheek. Her tears burned her frozen skin. Gabor spoke a while with the leader of the Mahakam Guard Patrol that had come to their rescue. His face was dour.
What? What have you learned?
I tell you all in good time. First, you need a warm drink, good victuals.
No, Gabor. I need to find out what in blazes happened here.
Well, it was an avalanche.
Of course it was an avalanche. I'm no fool. But what caused it? What was that noise?
Signal horns. Ours.
So you brought this snow down on us? Dwarves!
Well, aye, but, unawares.
Explain, in brief.
See, we clean our mount regularly. The way men folk shovel snow off their roofs. Otherwise, the whole shebang would come tumbling down on our heads. When snow's gathered deep enough, we blast our horns to cause a controlled avalanche. Then we need to, sweep up a wee bit and the road's safe.
All well and good, but why did you decide to clean up right as I was passing through?
Wondering that myself. Schedule says next cleaning should have been a week frae now. But someone asked the route to be cleared earlier.
Who?
Meve, I'll tell you. But first, promise you'll...
Who?
Hey... Owain ep Glenvog, the Nilfgaardian emissary. Must have found out you'd be going through.
The bastard. Reynard! Reynard!
Wait! Wait! I understand you're a wee bit upset, you've every right. But you'll never prove Owain meant you harm. The sly weasel will make sure he didn't dirty his own paws.
I've no such scruples. I'll find him and kill him.
And then? How'd you tell that tale to Bruva? Meve, you're justly torqued, but for the love, just this once, let it go. Or you'll leave Mahakam with nae a scrap to show for it.
Moments later, scouts reported Owain was camped to the north of the accident site. Meve had to decide how much she was willing to risk to get her revenge on the Imperial emissary.
By the Elder's sideburns, I'd no notion anyone was in the Vale. Nilfgaardians said the road was clear. Ah, whoresons. What a mess. I'm so sorry. With all my heart. What a mess. I'm so sorry. With all my heart.
There, my lady.
Whispered one of the scouts.
Left of the path.
Meve squinted. The Nilfgaardians had taken shelter from the falling snow under a rocky outcropping. The smell of roasting meat wafted from their campfire, and echoes of laughter could be heard. The black-clad soldiers had reason to celebrate. They had just decimated Meve's company without even drawing their weapons. Meve's gaze caught something else. A metal container into which the Nilfgaardians tossed bones once they'd been gnawed clean. It looked strangely familiar. Only after a moment did the Queen understand it was an overturned Lyrian helmet dug out of the snowy grave of one of her men.
The Whoresons.
Meve hissed.
They'll pay for this.
Meve, asking you last time, keep a cool head.
Whispered Gabor.
You want vengeance? I get it. But think of the cost. If so much as a hair gets plucked from Owain's head, Bruver will never forgive you, and you can kiss any hope of aid goodbye.
Silence followed, finally to be broken by one of the scouts.
Milady, what's the order? Do we attack?
No.
Said the Queen after long deliberation.
But milady, they...
I know what they did, and that I shall never forget nor forgive.
Said Meve, placing a hand on her scout's shoulder.
But breaking Dwarven law only plays into the Nilfgaardians' hand, causing us to lose allies and our chance for victory.
Meve brushed the snow from her trousers and straightened her spine.
Avenge our comrades we shall. Not here, but in the fields of Lyria and Rivia.
The Lyrians resumed their march with heavy, beleaguered steps. Their path still piled high with the snow brought down by the Nilfgaardians. While passing the mining settlement of Kolstock, Meve heard the sounds of battle.
Hey-ho! Into the fray, lads!
Expecting she would see monsters swarming dwarves, the Queen set off at a gallop to the rescue. Her braid blew about in the wind like a banner, showing her men in which direction to attack. The dwarves she saw, however, were not engaged in a battle against Shaelmars and Barbagazes. No, they were going at one another. Luckily, no weapons had yet been drawn, but given the dwarves have hands the size of bread loaves, this did not necessarily mean there would be no deaths.
Oi, lads!
Roared Gabor Zigrin.
What's this foolishness? Calm the hell down, damn it!
Gabor's intervention proved successful. The dwarves limited themselves to verbal jousting. Meve, who was no stranger to barrack room talk, nonetheless turned crimson at the dwarves' cursing. Piecing together the obscenities, Meve concluded they were debating an old quarrel about the height of a certain mountain, or rather of the twin peaks atop it. One of them lay in the territory of Clan Dahlberg, while the other in the Hoogsland. Each family felt their peak was the highest, all measurements indicating the contrary being total fabrications.
Queen?
Started Gabor, nervously chewing his moustache.
They're asking if you, as yin impartial and a fair-minded wench to boot, wouldn't you wish to settle their idiot squabble once and for all?
Meve knew well that this type of age-old quarrel could easily end in bloodshed, so she resolved to help. Representatives of the two clans gave her a strange mechanism she was to use to measure elevation. All that was left was for the Queen to button her coat up to the neck and scale the twin peaks.
Time to end this delicate feud, once and for all. Time to end this delicate feud, once and for all.
When she and her force had travelled half the way to the first, she heard a long roar that made snow shelves detach and descend. Without waiting for her scouts to return with reports, Meve drew her sword.
Coin never stinks, no matter how rank the pouch.
Eyes up, lads! They're flying straight for us!
I smell a leak. If anyone asks, you've not seen me.
Quite the clever little contraption they gave us. Work of a gnome, of course. I think you'll really like this one.
We got a job to do.
Ever have a storm knock out one of your teeth? I've hit the white of an eye from half a league away.
Take those measurements and let's be gone from this place.
The Lyrians managed to repel the monsters and reach both peaks. Upon each, Meve ordered her men to take the measurements. While waiting, she admired the breathtaking view of the Mahakarman Massif. The dwarven contraption left no room for doubt. The peak within the Dahlberg clan territory was 2 feet higher than that within Hoog territory. Gabor was clearly displeased with the results.
Oh, damn it all! I'd hoped you'd prove Brewer's clan was in the right. He'd have been content to see the Dahlbergs knocked down a peg or two, and, possibly, he'd have been more inclined to help you,
said the dwarf in frustration. Then, after a pause, he added,
Although, only you saw what the device showed, Queen. Perhaps you could, recalibrate the results a wee bit?
To lie would be simple, true.
said Meve.
Yet to forget the matter would be so much harder. No, Gabor, I shall tell the truth.
The Queen's tone made it clear the discussion was over. Gabor let the matter lie, and Meve's force began its descent down the mountainside. The dwarves of both clans had been waiting with bated breath for the expedition's return and report. As soon as Meve announced the results, the Dahlbergs rolled barrels of beer out into the square and began to celebrate. Naturally, the Hoogs were disappointed, yet they accepted Meve's results as final. At last, they had come to trust her.
Dalberts are the dwarves we need, every Hoogs are dunderheed! Dalberts are the dwarves we need, every Hoogs are dunderheed!
For frostbite, you'd best avail yourself of some onion juice. Even better if you had a wee nip of vodka. Oh, snotters are frozen solid. Not just those in my beard. Why, I got my nose too. Once we're neath Carbon, we'll find our way to the tavern. Set our arses down by the fire and sip mugs of mulled wine. For frostbite, you'd best avail yourself of some onion juice. Even better if you had a wee nip of vodka.
As Meve neared Langbridge, she ordered her bugler to announce her arrival, then retired to her tent to freshen up. Gascon was already inside, awaiting her.
I do not seem to recall summoning you.
In that case, I must tell you to fret not. Nothing wrong with your memory. I've come with no agenda. Spontaneously, call it, to chat.
Then I propose you leave. Just as spontaneously, call it. I must don fresh clothes. I'm to see the Elder soon, and I'd prefer to not smell of horse sweat.
Doubt it'd make much difference to him. And be assured, I know what I speak of. When last we met, I found myself standing downwind of him. A pungent experience.
Well, you were saved the experience of his breath. So pungent I thought I might faint.
Well, to revive you, pinch you awake, I'm sure would be quite a pleasure.
Gascon, I beg your pardon. Ugh, I shall have nightmares now.
Not tonight. For I fear you might not sleep at all. You see, there's something you ought to know. And decidedly before you meet with Bruver. The sites we cleared of beasts, I ferreted a bit. Noted something peculiar. Any notion what it was?
None. The monumental dwarven architecture, perhaps?
Bones, my dear Meve. Dwarven bones. Now, guess what I found on them?
Wait, don't dare give me any hints. Bite marks.
Of course. After all, they'd been gnawed clean of all flesh by monsters, incidentally making it quite easy to spot other markings. Ones made by axes and swords. To be certain, I showed the bones to our medics, and they confirmed my conclusion.
Meaning what? That the entire clan, the Fuchses,
did not perish due to an invasion of beasts from the depths. The monsters merely ate the bodies and occupied empty homes. Now, I shared my discovery with Gabor, and guess what he did? He panicked. He started to squirm, babble nonsense. I wager my right arm, he's hiding something.
Blast. Overly eager to aid us from the start he was. I might have sensed something. I shall have him summoned at once. And I thank you, Gascon. I won't forget this.
Minutes later, Gabor stood before the Queen. At first, he tried to mislead her with evasive answers, but as her pointed questions demolished one clumsy excuse after another, he had to give in.
Oi. As King Desmond said after a hefty squirt in his hose, we can't sweep this under the rug.
If you think I welcome jests in this moment, you err. My fingers itch to summon the hangman.
Right. So... 'tis true. I misled you. On our clan elder's orders, supposed to make sure you destroyed Burr's Rump and Davor's Abyss thoroughly enough to leave nae a trace.
What? Why? What did they wish to hide?
They was home to the Fuchses, our mortal enemies. They'd been a-boiling our heinies for ages, thumbing their noses, taking what they want when they want. And the Elder-in-Chief didn't gie a ploughing whit. So to stop them, our clan, we did the unpardonable. The Ziggurin elders saw their chance and they...
Gods. So you were responsible for the deaths of all those dwarves?
Me? I didn't raise a finger. Tried to stop them, in fact.
You claim not to have taken part, but neither did you do anything to stop the massacre.
What was I to do exactly? The elders had decided. Nae dwarf would listen to me.
You might have informed the Elder-in-Chief. The guilty would have been punished.
The guilty? You didn't ken Bruva. He'd punish the whole clan. Women, children. Nae exceptions. Meve. Queen. I'm begging you. He canna ever learn of this. Aye, I want a hack flame too when I think what the Elder's done. But t'other way it'd bring but more pain and death.
I need to consider what's right. Meanwhile, Gascon, make sure Gabor remains our guest.
Of course. I'll let you know if he so much as rolls his eyes towards an escape route.
Bruva stood by the bridge like a statue, arms crossed, eyes squinting. Meve sighed inside. She stood little chance of having a pleasant chat.
Elder-in-Chief, sir.
No sharing and gracing here, lass. Ploughing humans. Always out to fix things, always end up cocking them up. You think you're due glory, do you? Monster Slayer Meve? Patroness of dwarves? Blast it. What do you think? Why didn't I exterminate those beasts myself, eh? Go on, tell me!
For you...
For I didn't want to. For something didn't fit, damn it. So I resolved to not destroy their nests and evidence till I learned the truth of who done it.
Postponed it all those years expressly. Though your subjects were dying.
I dinna need no lectures from the likes of you. Justice must be served. That's worth any price. And I was close. Had leads. And now it's all gone to hell. You flooded Devor's abyss. You brought Boros rump down on itself. And I'll never ken who killed the Fuchses. Understand? Never!
My sincere apologies. I did not know.
Course you didn't. Humans. First they cock it up, then they ask how it works. I'm most eager to give that braid of yours a yank and kick you out beyond the gate. But I canna, for the clans are grateful to you. Fools. Fools. All fools. They forced me to give you an audience, official-like, with witnesses, all at the foot of Mount Carbon. Come on then, time to move on. But I'm going to wring you out so hard you'll wish you never left that Nilfgaardian dungeon.
Bruva set off at a brisk pace, cursing under his breath. The Queen took a deep breath, counted to 5 in her head, and set off after him.
Wanted to hunt monsters, eh? Oh, Elder's furious. Spits flying 10 feet. Let humans neath carbon. Didn't ken if that's wise. Oh, Elder's furious. Spits flying 10 feet.
Dwarves demonstrate innovative thinking in many domains. Metallurgy, engineering, architecture. Yet there is one in which they could not be bothered. Naming. For this reason, the bridge that linked the Mahakam Pass with Mount Carbon was simply named Langbridge. Meve learned it was a thoroughly fitting name. Having stopped for a breath halfway across the road suspended over a deep chasm, the Queen could see neither end of the bridge, both concealed by thick clouds.
Amazing,
whispered the Queen.
I feel as though we traversed the very sky.
The Queen and her retinue were nearing Mount Carbon when Meve heard a cry. It was Xavier.
Hold! Hold!
Meve drew in her reins abruptly. Her mare neighed and reared, lifting the Queen above her formation of men. From that height, she saw the last pier of the bridge crumbling. The dwarves at the head of the procession were unable to stop in time and plummeted, screaming into the abyss.
What's the meaning of this, God damn it?
Bruva roared.
Fetch the engineers! Now!
The queen was striving to calm her spooked mount when she sensed something swish past her ear. Out of nowhere, a Scoia'tael band had appeared at the rear of the column. Before anyone could react, elven archers had felled the rear guard. The soldiers lay on the bridge's stone surface with arrows in their backs. Meve was trapped. In one direction lay the chasm, in the other, a fierce foe. She had no choice but to stand and fight.
You are mine!
We're trapped, Your Grace, but we can try and fight our way through.
You mad? Don't shake that! All right, that's no problem.
Special prize, just for you, love.
Bigger they are, easier they are to target.
Ah! Show me the coin or sod off.
We'll catch 'em all!
Nay, Dwan ve camest.
This could hurt.
Swords I smile at, weapons laugh to scorn.
Wait, you're serious?
I shall not fail!
Think you ballbags can do whatever the devils you please? This is Mahakam!
Watch your heads!
Brian!
Her Majesty knows what she's doing.
Your tricks will not save you, Dwan.
No! Blederenna! She must die!
Their strength combined, the Lyrians and dwarves managed to defeat the Scoia'tael. The guerrillas had weakened the last span of the bridge, turning the crossing into a deadly trap. Had Xavier, who noticed the weakened structure at the last instant, not called out, all would have fallen into the chasm. The Lyrians managed to capture the unit commander. She stood, her head raised high, and when Meve glared at her, she did not avert her eyes.
What is your name, elf?
Abayeth me pars, Dwan.
She said,
Thank you, Reynard. I know well what she said. Kiss my arse, is that truly the best you can muster?
I'd rather show you exactly what I can muster. Tell them to unbind me.
You got your opportunity. On the battlefield. Will you not tell me what they call you? Fine. It's all the same to me. I'm more interested to know how you came to be here. Who sent you?
No one. It was my decision to kill you, and thus avenge Eldain. You've elven blood on your hands. The blood of the elves of the Moulderwood.
I regret the events of the Moulderwood. I did not wish those elves' deaths. Yet they left me no choice.
What choice would you give a murderer who invaded your home?
You know I envy you. To see the world solely as black or white, it must simplify things so. Enough. I've heard all I wish to hear.
But I haven't. Did you fall in your heed, elf, eh? If you want to fight humans, go on and do it. You cannot talk sense to idiots that nae here, damn it. Mahakam is and will be neutral.
You cannot be neutral. To Dwan, you are either their foe or their dog. Mahakam has stood aside, sleeping long enough. That is why we struck it in its very heart, as a call to battle. A call to brethren whom you, Elder, have kept from the world too long.
I have kept him away. I've been bloody right to do so. You want to play at war, you numpties? You want to force the Pontar to flow upstream? Gang right ahead. Good riddance, I say. Gan kill, gan die if you fancy. But God's damn it, leave us alone. Yeah, I should kill you. With my own hands. I should cut your throat, put you out of your misery. That's what you want, innit? To die? To die a stupid death? Well, I'll not grant you that. Nay, nay, I'll lock you in a tower. Sit there 3 centuries, and you just might grow a brain.
Bruva Hoog gazed after the shackled elf as she was led away. Meve expected him to continue fuming, cursing her. But the dwarf stood silent, and his old eyes, half concealed by brows bushy as a forest floor, showed not anger, but the deepest sadness. Dwarven engineers made quick work of repairing the crumbled bridge span.